something for us to think about is that abortion has a lot of potential to divide or further divide the church. Abortion has been in the church for almost 50 years. For the first 15 years or so, from 1970-71 until the mid-1980s, this was kept a secret. But when this got blasted all over international news, church leaders in North America became creative, and especially in the mid to late 1980s, began to label abortion as a matter of religious liberty or freedom of conscience issue, just like keeping the Sabbath. So for over 30 years, leaders have been teaching the church that abortion is a matter of religious liberty, freedom of conscience. When I first began studying this issue, I had the disturbing experience of contacting many church leaders, from the conference to the unions to the division and GC, and I was told repeatedly that this is a matter of conscience. When I asked, of course, for biblical evidence, I said, where are the scriptures to support this claim? Most of the time they just ignored me, although in some cases they openly admitted that they don't have any scripture. However, what was really troubling to me was how nonchalant and unconcerned many church leaders were, that they were unable to give any scripture. Abortion has been in our church for so many years that we have now reached a point where this is simply not even open to question. People just accept this as a matter of conscience. Many people reason that if so many leaders over so many years have repeated this over and over and over again, and because all of the leading evangelists have been so quiet and have never raised any alarm, then therefore it must be true. But this may become a very, very big problem, and it's really simple to see. If you truly believe that abortion is a matter of religious liberty, then any effort by anyone in church leadership to take a strong stand against abortion will be seen as a violation or compromise or attack on religious liberty. Not only that, but it will also be seen as a result of compromise with evangelicals or Catholics, or as bringing politics into the church. Now, that's not true, of course. That's completely illogical, but that's how it will be represented. For so many years, leaders have so misrepresented or outright lied about abortion that if the church leadership now tries to take a stand for the Sixth Commandment, everything that was used to defend abortion for over 30-40 years will now be thrown back at them. The very same excuses and justifications that they used will now be used against them. And stop and think about people like Gerald Winslow and Kevin Paulson and others who argue vehemently that this is all about religious liberty. If the church takes a stand against abortion, then these men are in a very, very difficult position. They only have two choices. Number one, if the church speaks against abortion, then they will have to oppose the church. It's one thing to warn of error outside, but if this comes from within, then they will be bound by their own incessant claims of religious liberty to attack the church. And number two, the only other option is to do nothing and be quiet, which will of course be problematic, because by not doing anything, this will be an admission that they are either too scared to say anything, or that the church is in fact right, which would mean that everything that they have said for the last 30 plus years is a total lie. Their reputations will be destroyed. People within our church who defend or justify abortion for years have tried to frame the issue as some sort of Catholic belief, or as you saw with Dennis Priebe and John Stevens, they have tried to claim that abortion is the Trojan horse that will be used to bring in religious persecution, which again is completely illogical, because abortion is not an act of worshiping God unless you belong to a satanic death cult. Therefore, abortion has nothing to do with religious persecution, and abortion itself is the Trojan horse. The very people who cry about a Trojan horse are defending a Trojan horse that is already here and has already done incalculable damage to our church and mission. But again, facts and history and the Bible doesn't matter to people with these theories. If the church speaks against abortion now, then they will be bound to begin labeling church leaders as acting like a pope or bowing to the evangelicals of the religious right. This is not unreasonable to expect, since we already see this type of resistance and attitude over women's ordination. However, However, what is really frightening is that the people in our church who are the most brainwashed on abortion are church leaders, especially those in the religious liberty department. These people have spent their entire career billowing out plumes of fear porn, and if the church takes an official stand against abortion, then we will have an entire contingent of church leaders who now have to make a difficult decision of humbling themselves and admitting that they were wrong, or digging in their heels and fighting against what they have long taught to be a terrible error. For example, in 1988, Adventist attorneys at the General Conference filed briefs and appealed to the Supreme Court to block. They wanted to block any restrictions on abortion. So if the General Conference now does the complete opposite and takes a more restrictive position, then these very same people will have to fight against that. Now, I don't know how this will play out or how bad the resistance will be, but as you can see, there will be problems, and when it happens, all of the leaders of our church and all of the evangelists will have nobody to blame but themselves for allowing this to happen for so long. By remaining quiet for so many years and giving this lie so much time in our church, it has given a tremendous opportunity for the devil to solidify his position, and he is not going to leave quietly.